term better because it conveys the point that your learning process is not over. You are just beginning a new phase of learning, growth and development. There is a delightful anecdote about the great British astronomer Sir Arthur Eddington. At a party, a young girl asked him, "What do you do?" Eddington replied, "I study physics." "Oh my," the girl exclaimed, "you are still studying physics? I finished studying last year." Most of us make the same mistake as that young girl. We think that we have finished our studies once we leave our college or university. The truth is that education is not a destination, it's a lifelong voyage. Another story, perhaps apocryphal, is that Albert Einstein once set the same physics question paper 2 years in a row. When his students pointed this out, Einstein smiled and said, "Yes, but the answers have changed." He meant that the field of physics had advanced so rapidly that the old answers were no longer valid. In today's fast-changing world, the half-life of facts grows shorter every year. Yesterday's truths become tomorrow's myths. Whether you are a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, teacher, entrepreneur or civil servant, you must keep learning or risk becoming irrelevant, a modern-day dinosaur. Every organization has two kinds of people. A few who are always learning and many who have stopped learning and become intellectual deadwood. It is obvious to which category you should belong. Every really successful person I know is passionately curious, forever asking questions, forever exploring, forever learning. We stop growing physically after a particular age, but there is no limit to our mental growth. As Henry Ford said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or at 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. So stay young by staying curious. Dear graduates, your second lesson is that you should develop the right attitude towards your work. Ask any employer and he will tell you that while intelligent people are many, truly good employees are very few. Why is this so? Because many people have what we call attitude problems. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere unless you change it. It's often said that your attitude determines your altitude, how high you will rise in your career and how far you will go in your life. Someone beautifully captured the difference between winners and losers in these simple lines. Winners have a positive outlook, losers are invariably negative. Winners find a solution to every problem, losers find a problem in every solution. A winner always has a plan, a loser always has an excuse. Winners are part of the team, losers stand apart from the team. Winners say it may be difficult, but it is possible. Losers say it may be possible, but it is too difficult. Let me share with you a remarkable story that illustrates the right attitude to work. It comes from a famous essay by the American writer Albert Hubbard, titled A Message to Garcia. In 1898, when war broke out between the United States and Spain, Cuba was still a Spanish colony. A Cuban revolutionary leader named Garcia was fighting for independence, hiding somewhere deep in the jungle. The American President William McKinley wanted to contact Garcia and enlist his support, but no one knew exactly where Garcia was. McKinley's advisors suggested a man named Rowan, reputed for accomplishing any task entrusted to him. The President summoned Rowan, handed him a letter of introduction and a sealed envelope for Garcia and simply said, deliver this to him. Did Rowan ask, where is he? How am I supposed to find him in the middle of a war deep inside a Cuban forest? No. Without a word of complaint, Rowan took the envelope, made discreet inquiries, traveled by boat to Cuba, slipped through enemy lines, trekked through the jungle, found Garcia, delivered the message, and returned safely, all within 14 days. Albert Hubbard praised Rowan's initiative and sense of duty, lamenting how few people in the world could be trusted to deliver. In every organization, you will find four kinds of employees. Shirkers, who avoid responsibility and pass the buck. Talkers, who promise much but deliver little. Bunglers, who manage to mess up whatever they touch. They have the anti-Midas touch. And go-getters, who take charge, accept responsibility, and get things done. Every institution has all four types. The only difference is in their percentage. The surest way to succeed is to belong to the last category. Be like Rowan, be a go-getter, a doer, someone who can be trusted to deliver. As Jawaharlal Nehru said, I am not interested in excuses. I am only interested in things done. Dear graduates, your third lesson is this. Success is not about winning. It's also about how you handle pressure and how you cope with failure. In other words, it's about how mentally tough you are. Life is never a smooth ride. Failures are part and parcel of life. There are many who go to pieces in pressure situations and take defeats badly. Some even lose the will to live. Remember Winston Churchill's famous words, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. Let me tell you the story of a man who failed in business twice in his 20s, coped with the death of his sweetheart at the age of 26, had a nervous breakdown at 27, and lost 5 elections. Yet, at 52, he was elected President of the United States and went on to become one of the greatest leaders of the world. That man was Abraham Lincoln. Consider also the story of the British novelist J.K. Rowling. Before her Harry Potter novels made her one of the world's most famous writers of our age, she was a penniless, divorced, single mother, battling depression and rejection. Her manuscript was turned down by a dozen publishers, but she refused to give up, and today she is wealthier than the English monarch. Or take Michael Jordan, often regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. Early in life, he failed to make it to his high school basketball team, but instead of surrendering to disappointment, he channeled it into determination. He famously said, I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I have been entrusted to take the game-winning shot and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Life is not a 100 meters dash, it's a marathon. In a marathon, even if you stumble and fall a few times, you can always get up, run on, and still win the race. So don't let temporary failures discourage you or let pressure situations overwhelm you. The great English writer Oliver Goldsmith said, our greatest glory consists not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. It is this bounce back ability that determines success. Cultivate resilience and mental toughness, and success will follow. Dear graduates, your fourth key lesson is that you should develop the skill of original thinking or creative thinking. Every major breakthrough in history has come from a handful of original thinkers. Yet, most people remain trapped in routine thinking, unable or unwilling to think differently. Let me share a few striking examples of creative thinking in action. There was a time when computers could be operated only by tech geeks. Then came Steve Jobs of Apple, who changed everything by introducing the Macintosh, the first computer with a graphical user interface and a mouse that anyone could use. But Jobs didn't stop there. He came up with a series of user-friendly devices such as the iMac, the iPod, iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. Apple didn't invent the computer, phone, or watch. It reinvented how we use them. Google began as a better search engine, but it asked the next question: what else do people struggle with online? The answers: email, documents, maps, translation, storage, education, and meetings became Gmail, Google Docs, Maps, Translate, Drive, Classroom, and Meet. Creative thinking took a single product and turned it into an ecosystem. There was a time when watching a movie meant renting a video cassette or a DVD. Then came Netflix asking, what if people could watch anything, anytime, from the comfort of their house? That simple question killed video rental stores and gave birth to on-demand streaming. Today, Netflix is not merely a distributor, but one of the world's leading producers of original content, reshaping the entire entertainment industry. There was a time when taking a taxi used to be frustrating. Long waits, high costs, limited availability. Then came Uber. It didn't invent taxis, it reinvented them by asking, what if we connect drivers and riders through an app? The result was a global revolution in urban transport. Creativity is not limited to tech giants or to the digital world. Consider these everyday examples. The wheel was invented over 5,000 years ago, but for centuries, no one thought of putting wheels under a suitcase. Only about 45 years ago, someone came to have the simple yet transformative idea, and travel became effortless with the invention of the trolley. In Japan, a shampoo factory had a quality problem. Empty bottles were slipping past inspection, annoying customers. While some managers proposed expensive solutions like X-ray or infrared scanning, one employee suggested a simple fix. Place a fan by the conveyor belt, rotating it just enough speed to blow away empty plastic bottles, but not bottles filled with shampoo. Problem solved at almost zero cost. That is creativity in action. Let me tell you the story of Malcolm McLean, an American truck driver, perhaps the most famous innovator you have ever heard of. Before 1956, cargo had to be loaded and unloaded manually, piece by piece, onto ships, trains, and trucks, leading to delays, theft, and breakages. Malcolm McLean asked, what if cargo could be packed into standardized steel boxes that could be transferred between ship, train, and truck by cranes? The shipping container was born. This simple innovation revolutionized logistics and boosted global trade. These examples show that creativity is not limited to artists, musicians, writers, scientists,